Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today we got a clip from Mark Moss that's basically talking about the paradigm shift and why waiting for consensus will have you being left behind. So I've mentioned this multiple times. That's why the Matrix. I don't even know if most of you guys have seen it. Hopefully you've seen it. Shout out to Matt. He hasn't seen the Matrix in fully yet, but it's to me just the best narrative or analogy of understanding a fragmentation of your worldview, right? So like all of us grow up and we are basically 50% nature, 50% nurture. So like you're given the DNA from your parents, ideas, beliefs, all these things, and that's part of your nurture, what they're kind of instilling in you. And then depending on where you decide to live or where you decide to travel or what community cultures you experience, that's the nature. So that part is extremely malleable. The nurture part, not so much because you can't control that until you leave, but all that's already been instilled from like infancy to like, 16 to 18. So I bring that all up to say that understanding Bitcoin requires literally a fragmentation of things you believe to be true. And that is very difficult because it usually butts up against ideologies and identity. So when you hold something so near and dear that it is part of your identity, something or someone challenging that, the natural reflex is to be like, no, I will not, acknowledge that. I will not entertain that because it challenges who you are at your very core. Bitcoin does that. It sounds a little woo-woo and philosophical, but that's literally what it was created to do, is to challenge the old system, and it's created outside the system. So again, back to the Matrix analogy, you have to unplug in order to see the code. You can't see the code when you're in it, when you're plugged in. You have to unplug, and then you can see the actual code and the script, the rules running the charade. Right. So let's get into Mark Moss's paradigm shift information. And he's going to point out a bunch of really, really smart people in history that thought they were right and they were terribly wrong.
Why don't most people see the shift, right? Even when it's happening right in front of your eyes. Because although when you hear it all laid out, like I laid it out for you, it seems pretty obvious, right? The bond bull market is dead. JP Morgan is literally calling it the debasement trade. But yet most people still don't see it. They don't see it because of psychology. Accepting a paradigm shift is painful. It creates what we call cognitive dissonance. It forces you to admit that everything you've been taught is wrong. It forces you to admit that decades of financial frameworks, advice, even your identity as an investor, it no longer works. And that's the most painful part, right? Most people would rather stay wrong together than be right alone. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true because humans rely on pattern recognition. We assume the future looks like the past. And so because the past was 40 years, the pattern was simple, right? Buy bonds, trust the 60-40 portfolio, don't fight the Fed. Now that script is sort of hardwired in right now. It's hardwired into the advisors, into the pension fund managers, and it's even wired into your dinner table conversations. But when the paradigm shifts, those old rules become traps. Yet people cling on to them, right? They want to hold on to them either way because they're familiar. They feel safe, even when it's broken. And then there's the consensus problem.
So even though he's talking about specifically the bond market and the 60-40 portfolio, the Ray Dalio all-weather portfolio, like these are the books that I had read on investing when I was in the military and information. And what's the other guy's name now? He's the biblical principles guy about investing, saving money. Drawing a blank. I can see his face right now. Dave, I don't know. But all the ways of saving money and all that, that's all built on the foundations and principles of this system. But along comes this new digital thing that is the first decentralized global free market. Well, you can't use the same old pattern recognition or same old principles because they don't work in this. This is completely different, completely outside of that. So this all-weather portfolio or the 60-40 bond portfolio is dead, and we're seeing this play out right now in real time. But it's very hard for people who built their wealth in that system, wrote books, talk about this stuff, to accept it. And because of that, you have a massive group of the population, the boomers especially, that refuse to look at Bitcoin. Then you have the younger generation who sees the system is broken because it's been broken since they were born. When you're talking like the millennials and stuff like that, great financial crisis, those kids are now 17 years old, 2008. Bitcoin literally was born on the back of that. So anyone born in the 2000s, late 90s is like, wait a minute, something ain't right. I got to keep working harder and longer and I'm getting less. So what is that about? And seeing multiple countries, fiat currencies collapse, and that's more readily available, especially again, born in the late 90s, you had the internet at your fingertips at all times. So you could hear and see all of this stuff happening in other countries. TikTok, all this makes things much more realistic. So people have a much better pulse on quote unquote what the reality is. It's not just one talking point of a paid news channel anymore or a radio station. So this is what Mark's talking about regarding that cognitive dissonance, and some people just unable to separate and look at that data objectively.
Most people wait for consensus before they believe something. But by the time consensus forms, the opportunity of the shift, it's already passed. Now, history is full of smart people that miss these paradigm shifts in real time. Nobel Prize winners, CEOs, the media. Some ones I can think of, Paul Krugman, right? He's a Nobel Prize winning economist. 1998, he said that by 2005 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machine. Clifford Stoll, astronomer, in 1995, wrote in Newsweek. He said that the truth is no online database will replace your daily newspaper. No computer network will change the way government works. Okay. Steve Ballmer, Microsoft CEO, 2007, said there's no chance the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. I could keep going.
That's crazy when you think about these two, the iPhone, the internet, online databases, and the internet, and these are smart people, but they just couldn't separate themselves objectively from what was actually taking place and see the shift because their identity was embedded in whatever that previous narrative was.
Maybe I will. Joe Nocera, he's a New York Times columnist. In 1999, he said the idea that Amazon can be the Walmart of the web is silly. New York Times, 2006, said about YouTube, a site for home videos, a little weird, mostly useless. And here we are on YouTube today. John Malone, media mogul, 1994, said people will never watch TV on the internet. Look, I don't want to call these people out, but I just did. But the reason why is because of the paradigm shift. It's really hard to see it. Most people would rather be wrong because it's comfortable. And that's why over the last decade, people dismissed Bitcoin as a scam, right? They missed it under 1,000, 10,000, they missed it at 50,000. Right now, we're living through the same thing. The world's shifting from bonds and fiat into the debasement trade, into Bitcoin and gold. But most investors are still trying to explain today's world with yesterday's models, right? They're still looking at asset prices in dollars or whatever the local fiat currency that you use. And when you measure it that way, of course, it looks like a bubble. It looks like, Bitcoin at 125,000 is about to collapse. It looks like gold at, 3,900 is overheated, it's overbought. Now that's the illusion of measuring everything against a debasing currency. It's not that Bitcoin and gold are in a bubble, it's that the denominator is dying, right? That's why they can't see it. That's why the wealth transfer is going to happen much faster than people can even understand. Most people are still using old models to explain this new world, okay?
So that to me is just truly eye-opening. And I forgot the quote, but it's like, in order to be wealthy or do something phenomenal is you have to bet against consensus and be right. So there is a handful of people that are Bitcoiners that are betting against consensus. And yeah, obviously I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because I believe that we will be right. This is an opportunity. This requires a paradigm shift. It does require, as Jeff Booth says, an ego death. That's why he named his company that, Ego Death Capital, because you have to remove your personal biases, your I know everything, it's always been this way BS, and say, yo, let me humble myself at the feet of this new technology, this new opportunity, and let me learn. Let me see what's going on. And hopefully we're right. I believe we will be. But this is I'm not saying, yeah, I guess it is once in a lifetime, once in a generation. There will never be another Bitcoin because the opportunity or what created it and it being early enough in the internet tech era to not get hacked and attacked, that's impossible at this stage now. The minute someone tries to do a anonymous, decentralized blockchain again, it's already won. It wouldn't be anonymous. People would find out who you are extremely quickly. You can get on Twitter and look at anyone posting a picture of somebody doing something not supposed to and go, hey, identify this person. and people are triangulating using satellites and know exactly where you are. And then number two, you got enough black hat hackers that would just destroy it in its infancy. So as Mark mentioned, you had an opportunity at 100, 1,000, 10,000, and now 100,000. And hopefully, if you're one of the few watching my content and you have not been orange pilled, hopefully all of this will point you in that direction. All right, smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.